Hey guys, it's Laura. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the reasons why you should not buy a Chanel Classic Flap. If you're new here, my name is Laura. I do luxury videos on handbags, shoes, shopping, and occasionally travel. So if those are topics that interest you, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos. So it's no secret that over the last few years, there have been a ton of price increases amongst luxury items, and not just luxury items, basically everyday items from food to gas and everything in between. We have all felt inflation really hitting our wallets, and Chanel Classic Flaps are no exception. I think, in fact, they're probably the worst offenders. Back in 2020, this medium classic flap retailed for $6,500, and then a few months later it went up to $6,800. This one is now retailing for $8,800. The small, which is the other popular size of the classic flap, is retailing for $8,200. Now, if you love Chanel, there are other bags that you can get for thousands of dollars less than the classic flap. So if it's just a question of wanting to have a bag from Chanel and you don't really care about the classic flap, you might want to consider looking at the trendy CC, the 19, the Cocoa top handle, the minis. Those are also really great bags to consider. Some seasonal bags are really awesome too and have beautiful designs, and they become really popular and sought after as well. So you don't necessarily have to get the classic flap to have a desirable Chanel bag. The other thing that I've noticed with price is, of course, the pre-loved market is always affected by price increases. But lately I have kind of noticed, especially on websites like Fashion File, a lot of classic flaps starting to get marked down. Now, a lot of them will still be priced above retail, but if you watch and you wait, there are classic flaps, especially in the classic color like black, where you might be able to get them for under retail. So as an example, we have this black caviar quilted small double flap on Fashion File with the gold hardware, which is the most popular hardware when it comes to black, and it is currently retailing for $8,095. Now, it's not a whole lot under retail, but it is in excellent condition. And the thing about it is, I've noticed lately that a lot of bags are available on Fashion File and they're starting to go on sale as a result. They have a lot of inventory, and so when they have a lot of inventory, it's much more likely that the bag that you're looking at might get marked down. So if you haven't started a Fashion File account before, I would highly recommend starting one. And then what you can do is you can heart all of the bags that you're interested in, and then anytime those get discounted, you'll get an email notifying you how much it's been discounted and what the new price is. Now, they can go through several discounts, so if something is still not at the price that you want, you can continue to watch it and then snag it when it does reach the price that you're looking for. Although, of course, you always run the risk that somebody else might purchase it. The other size that I wanted to talk about is the jumbo classic flap, or you might see it online as the large classic flap. This is retailing for $9,500 US. Now, this is not the most popular size right now of classic flap. That would be the small or the medium. So these can often be found at a reseller for a lot less than retail. So if you like the jumbo size, I would highly recommend checking reseller websites before you go in and buy it at the store, because it's going to be like a car. You're going to buy that jumbo in the store, and as soon as you walk out of the store, you're going to lose money. Now, the second reason that you shouldn't buy a classic flap is if you're looking at it as an investment, or if you're looking to sell or flip that bag for a profit. Now, let's talk about the investment first. Now, I'm not an economist, but I know that we are going through a period of inflation, and these economic times are a little bit unstable. We don't know what's going to happen. So if you are not in a position that you can just go and buy this bag without really feeling it in your savings account or somewhere else, I might hold off on purchasing this bag. The other thing people say is, oh, I buy this bag today, it's going to increase in value. And as I mentioned earlier, in the last 2 years, it has increased $2,000. So that can happen. The Chanel Classic Flap has increased steadily since the bag was introduced due to frequent price increases. But I would be hesitant to say that it is an investment, because at the end of the day, you need to keep the bag in pristine condition to get the best return for your money a few years later down the road when you decide to sell it. So that means you're not really using the bag, you're not really enjoying the bag. Of course, it's great to know that if a rainy day comes around, I can sell them and get a good chunk of money for them. But you know, it does involve selling the bag. So if you're a bag lover like me, I don't buy bags to sell them. So selling a bag is a difficult decision. And I know when I mentioned to my husband that, hey, it's an investment, it's going to increase in value, he always points out, yes, but in order to get the value from the bag, you need to sell it. Is that something that I want to do? I mean, not really. The second part of this is buying to flip or buying to sell the bag. Now, there was a period of time where a lot of the unicorn bags, a lot of the desired bags were getting snatched up at stores by resellers, and then they were going back on the resale market for thousands of dollars over retail. This especially became a problem in Asia. I know in Korea they came out with some really strict purchasing rules because there were a lot of abusers to the system there. So for that reason, now we can only buy 2 classic bags. It's not just classic flaps, it's just 2 classic bags from Chanel per year. Now, I think that it's a good thing that Chanel did this for the everyday collector or buyer like me and probably you watching this video, but I do think it definitely affected resale value. I don't know if this will be a long-term effect or if it'll go the way of Hermes with their quota bags and make them even more expensive on the resale market than they were before. But I have noticed that it doesn't really seem to be like a seller's market anymore. It really does seem to be like a buyer's market. And that's just from watching places like Fashion File. I noticed that they have a lot of inventory. I've also noticed people saying, like on the Facebook groups, that they recently submitted a black classic flap and Fashion File rejected it, said they didn't want to buy it. And usually that happens because they have a lot of inventory that hasn't moved. So that kind of means that not a lot of people are buying right now. So it is something to think about. If you are purchasing a bag with the idea of, if I don't love it, I'll just sell it and maybe make some money off of it, I don't know that that's really the mentality to have at this moment, especially if you don't really know what you're doing. Now, if you're more seasoned when it comes to selling bags, this might not be such an issue for you, but just being a member in a lot of these luxury Facebook groups that have to do with Chanel and Hermes, I do notice people trying to sell things and things not really moving as fast. There is always the risk of scammers. So if you don't really know what you're doing, I would definitely say don't buy something with that mentality. I would caution you before you do that, because if you don't know what you're doing, it might not go the way that you think it's going to go, and you might get stuck with the bag and you might be out thousands of dollars, at least for a while, until you find somebody who does want to buy it. Now, the third reason has to do with the design of the classic flap itself, and real talk, this chain sucks. I mean, the length of it is not great. The drop is not really one that's comfortable for most people. It's not one that you can really wear crossbody unless you're quite slender or petite. Otherwise, it's going to come up quite high on your body when you do crossbody it. So if that's not something that bothers you, fine. But I think for most people, they usually find the chain drop of this not ideal. And the other thing about it is the chain kind of is a little bit annoying. I'm not gonna lie. It constantly rolls off my shoulders. Maybe it's because I don't have the best posture, but when I wear this as a shoulder bag, which is pretty much the way that you're going to wear it every time, it does tend to slide off of my shoulder. So that's my one pet peeve when it comes to this bag. Otherwise, I love this bag. I think it's a great design, but yeah, the chain is not the best. A note about the chain drop is a lot of people do send it to places like leather surgeons to have the chain extended so that they can wear it crossbody comfortably. However, it's important to know that this could affect the value of your bag when you resell it. You will definitely need to note it when you're reselling it. I personally think that it's a great adjustment that a lot of people will like, but again, you are messing with the original bag, so it is something to have in mind when you're making a decision like that. Now, the fourth point that I'm going to be talking about today is safety. And when you're buying these bags, they are attention-grabbing bags. They're expensive. People might see these bags and instantly recognize that they're valuable. And so sometimes, depending on where you are, it can make you a target for robberies and muggings and things like that. Unfortunately, here in the US, they're having cases of people wearing their Chanel out and then being followed home and robbed and horrible things like that happening. So it is something to be aware of. Unfortunately, we live in a world where there are people who do these kinds of things, and it's really sad. But if you're in a place that maybe isn't secure, or you need to think about the safety of your home for whatever reason, then you may want to consider skipping out on such an expensive item, or at least waiting until you are in a place where you can use it. So aside from these points that I made for not buying the bag, it doesn't mean that I don't think you should buy it and that it is a bad idea to buy it. It's just things to consider. Maybe if some of these reasons resonate for you, then the classic flap might not be for you. Now, if you've always dreamed of having a classic flap and you now find yourself in a position to buy it, then I would definitely say go ahead and buy the bag, because at the end of the day, you might want to buy something in its place, but when we have a desire like that, it's not replaceable. You'll wind up spending money on another bag and still wanting the classic flap. So if that's the position then you're in, I would just say go for the classic flap, because it is a classic bag. It's timeless. They are gorgeous. Of course, nothing's perfect. If I had my way, I would adjust the drop length a little bit so that it was more convenient to use, say, as a crossbody length. I don't think, though, that when this bag was created, women used crossbody bags. It was all about the shoulder bag, and for that reason, the length is what it is. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think the classic flap is still worth it at the price that it is today? All right, guys, that is it for this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and click the notification bell. I usually share bag deals that I find, sales, and things like that in my communities tab, so that is another good reason to subscribe to my channel. But don't forget that I'm also giving away a YSL card holder. That giveaway is open until August 22nd, 2022. So if you're interested in learning how you could win the card holder, I'll go ahead and link that video up above and at the end of this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye.